The whole point of the agenda is to ensure that all of our community feels that they have a voice and stake in the community.
Well, there is an issue of radicalisation all over the world at the moment. What's happening in the world is not really helping.
Those who are elected, those who are in a position to do something, work with the people on the street and on the ground, because everyone wants to weed out extremism. It's a destructive force. It gives communities bad names, it creates fear and tension, and it really is something that we need to tackle head on.
I think the thing about extremism and hate and conflict is it undermines people's sense of well-being and their sense of belonging to this community. And as councillors, we have an obligation to ensure people's well-being and ensure that they have all the opportunities that are out there that they can make the most of. So anything that threatens that, anything that takes away people's sense of identity or safety is a threat to our residents. And at the end of the day, the only reason I'm here as a councillor is to give people an excellent quality of life, and anything that harms that, I have a duty to deal with.
Well, I think the PVE agenda has allowed us to focus on particular concerns that the Muslim community have had here in Islington, instead of some of the wider community cohesion agendas that we have in the borough. I think a good example of this is the work that Islington Council has been doing around the Blackstock Road area, which is the home to the very famous Finsbury Park Mosque, which had a lot of bad publicity a number of years ago with the issues surrounding Abu Hamza. The council has been able to work very closely with more moderate elements of the mosque in providing advice and guidance and capacity building.
Community is essential and they have to be at the core of tackling PVE or preventing agenda because the communities will know best about what their needs are and whether what services they require in regards to preventing any violent extremism, and their social inclusion will depend on tailor-made responses.
Drive a huge amount of the agenda. I think they are very political. I think that if we can work with women, then it's a tremendous route to success, really.
Well, I think, you know, it's the notion around PVE, the kind of the isolated individuals, the vulnerables, who could be the kind of like the recruiting ground. One of the things we've done is obviously we've gone out in the community. We tried to reach out through various mediums, the local press, our own council-run newspaper, various community radio stations. But more important of all, work with our young people and the youth service, who have a very good relationship in the community. We've also used our rapid response team, who are an award-winning service, who can go into areas where there's issues and conflict, and who have a very good network in the community to sort of feed on information.
Well, there clearly is an issue, And our responsibility has tasked us with being at the forefront of responding to the challenges that have come through the radicalisation agenda. You know, it is difficult, it is complex. I don't begin to be, you know, the #1 expert on it. And the approach that we've always taken is that it will require, you know, the statutory bodies in the local area, you know, the local council of health, police, working with the voluntary and community sector, working with our residents. You know, no one organisation has a monopoly on solutions and ideas for dealing with this agenda. No one organisation has a monopoly on actually fully understanding the radicalisation agenda. But actually together, we will understand it and we will come up with the appropriate responses to deal with it.
The partners that should be around the table would be, I think, the local authority, the police, the churches, the mediation service, the community as a whole, because there's different representation from the community, and so they're the key because they're the ones who will be planning the agenda for you. And I don't think the agenda should be top down, so I think it should be planned from bottom up and work along all the different community groups in the area, so to achieve what we're to achieve.
I think face-to-face contact is important. I think having advocates as peers in those communities are key. Especially if you want to get access to disenfranchised young people or other parts of the local community that you wouldn't normally gain access to. Some of those key groups are not necessarily the people that will turn up at your youth centres or at your community centres. You need to have dedicated outreach work, and that needs to be done by youngsters and community leaders in their own communities.
I think the biggest obstacle is actually people's reticence to engage with PVE. People's fear of engaging with radicalisation because they don't quite understand it. They're worried about kind of other consequences, that this is quite serious stuff, and so they back off or they pretend it's not happening. And that's letting down some of those young people who are feeling vulnerable and then are at risk of being radicalised.
What I'd like to see over time, as the level of trust builds up on the whole programme, is that people who have been disconnected feel able to engage. So the faces that we want to see around the table are the people that we're trying to talk to say, this is your community, this is your area, you know, get involved.
Success on any agenda would be wiping out any form of extremism. I think that's a highly unlikely and unrealistic expectation. What I believe we should see in Westminster are fewer people that feel disenfranchised, fewer complaints being made to us about extremism, general cohesiveness, and a move away from having to spend money on the PVE agenda to actually spending it on the community cohesion agenda.